With the college entrance examination approaching, Linwei, the class beauty, suggested that the whole class go on a picnic by the river to relieve the stress before the exam. I earnestly tried to stop everyone, saying that the picnic posed safety risks and would affect the college entrance examination. Unexpectedly, my words ruined everyone's mood, and Linwei thought I was deliberately embarrassing her. After school, in a fit of shame and anger, she actually shoved me down the stairs. Now that I've been reborn, I'm done with my Saint Mary mentality. You can't persuade a ghost determined to die with good intentions. I'm going to make you reap what you sow. 1. A violent wave of dizziness and searing pain suddenly hit me, as if every bone in my body had shattered in an instant. Hadn't I already died? The sensation of weightlessness as I tumbled down the stairs, the dull thud of the back of my head hitting the floor. Linwei's beautiful face twisted with fury, and the cold, indifferent, yet frightened gazes of the classmates around me, and finally, endless darkness and cold. I suddenly opened my eyes, and the glaring fluorescent tube lights came into view, while the noisy chatter of break time rang in my ears. I was sitting in the classroom of grade 12, class 3, with a mock exam paper spread out in front of me and a black pen still in my hand. So I'm saying, getting too tense in the 2 days before the college entrance exam isn't good. We should go out and relax. How about a picnic by that little river in the suburbs? We can make our own fire and cook ourselves. It'll definitely be a lot of fun. This voice was sweet and charming, yet carried an unmistakable air of authority. I raised my head in disbelief and looked toward the source of the voice. Linwei, the class beauty, was standing by the podium, smiling brilliantly. Her long hair fell over her shoulders, and the white dress made her look pure and lovely. She was waving her arms, trying hard to rally everyone's spirits. The scene was exactly the same as the one in my memory. I've been reborn back to the very moment she suggested a picnic. An enormous shock, followed by overwhelming joy, resentment, lingering fear. A flood of emotions instantly engulfed me. I pinched my thigh hard, and the sharp pain clearly told me this was not a dream. I had really come back. Memories of my past life surged back wildly. It was at this exact moment that I had stood up and, with all my heart, tried to dissuade everyone, saying that the picnic was risky and that getting injured or eating something bad could affect the college entrance exam. My words ruined everyone's mood. Linwei felt I was deliberately embarrassing her, and after school, in a rage and humiliation, she shoved me down the stairs, and the classmates, afraid of offending the class beauty, didn't help a single bit, resulting in my death from lack of treatment. And this time, I won't be that foolish again. If you want to die, do you think I can stop you? I took a deep breath and forcefully suppressed the hatred almost overflowing from my chest. Lowering my head, I hid the coldness in my eyes. This time, I wouldn't meddle in other people's business again. Wow, a picnic, what a great idea. Sister Wei, Zhanghao, the class sports monitor, was the first to jump out in support. He was Linwei's devoted lapdog. Yeah, doing problems every day is making my head spin. Let's go out and get some fresh air, cook for ourselves. That sounds so challenging. We can go pick some wild vegetables or something, right? Several girls chimed in excitedly. The classroom was instantly filled with a cheerful, expectant atmosphere, and the pressure of the college entrance exam was completely pushed to the back of everyone's mind. Linwei was very satisfied with everyone's reaction. Her gaze swept across the classroom, as if she were looking to see whether there were any opposing voices. When her gaze fell on me, she paused slightly. Probably thinking I would say something, I kept my head down, saying nothing. She seemed a little surprised, but didn't think much of it. Smiling, she asked, Chinemo, what do you think? Want to go together? You study the hardest all the time, so you should relax a bit too. Here it came. I lifted my head, my face already wearing just the right expression, slightly weak and regretful. I frowned a little and pressed a hand to my stomach. It does sound really interesting. What a shame. I took a breath and lowered my voice, making it sound weak and listless. I think I've got a bit of diarrhea. I've been feeling unwell since this morning. I'm afraid I can't go. Even if I did, I'd probably just ruin everyone's fun. I managed to make my voice sound filled with sincere regret. Diarrhea. Linwei's delicate brows furrowed, a hint of displeasure and suspicion flashing across her face. What a coincidence. You're not just making excuses because you don't want to go, are you, Jean? How immediately snorted and chimed in, exactly, Chinemo, you're such a pain in the ass. Have you studied yourself, stupid? You can't even participate in a simple group activity like this. Another boy also laughed and said, what bad luck. Looks like you're not getting to enjoy the wild game after all. I didn't argue, and I certainly didn't try to reason with them like I had in my past life. I just tried to make the regret on my face look as convincing as possible, weakly waving a hand. It Really isn't, I'm just not feeling well. Sigh, what a shame. You guys have fun, and make sure to take lots of photos for me to see later, okay? My good sense clearly pleased Linwei, although she was a little annoyed that she hadn't managed to rally me to go with them. At least no one was opposing her. She no longer looked at me, and instead excitedly said to everyone, fine, let's just ignore him. Let's hurry up and discuss the division of labor. Who's bringing the pot? Who's bringing the seasonings? I'll bring our little gas stove, Zhang Hao said quickly. I'll go buy the meat and vegetables. I know there's a grove over there. It looks like there's open space we need, a girl suggested excitedly, watching them discuss everything with such enthusiasm, each face glowing with anticipation for this outing. I lowered my head again, the corners of my mouth curling into a faint, cold smile where no one could see. Go ahead. Enjoy yourself to the fullest, too, for the next half day. I drifted around like a ghost, beyond the classroom's noise and bustle. I buried my head in textbooks and test papers, deaf to the heated discussions around me about the picnic plans, as if it really had nothing to do with me, but my senses were sharper than ever, catching every conversation and every detail. I've got a big grill at home, and I can have someone drive it over. Zhang Hao's booming voice was always the most prominent. We'll need to buy more meat. I'll handle marinating it. I guarantee it'll be delicious. Then I'll be in charge of bringing drinks and disposable tableware, said a girl named Sun Qian in a soft voice. We should also bring some snacks. I'll take care of the vegetables and fruit. Another short-haired girl, Wan Li, raised her hand. The chatter went on, filled with anticipation for the weekend adventure. Linwei, as the overall planner, enthusiastically assigned tasks, enjoying the feeling of being the center of attention. Just then, a somewhat hesitant voice cut in. It was a quiet girl named Li Shui, sitting in the front row. If we're going on a picnic, we're making our own fire and cooking ourselves, right? Li Shui pushed up her glasses, her voice not loud, but enough for the people nearby to hear. Is that safe? Also, what if the weather turns bad? I saw the forecast and it looks like it might be a bit cloudy in the next couple of days. Her concern was subtle, but in the feverish atmosphere, it was like a pebble thrown into a lake, stirring up a faint ripple. A few classmates also paused slightly. What's there to be afraid of about cloudy weather? It's not like it's going to rain, and it'll be cooler too, Zhang Hao immediately retorted, unconcerned. Linwei also smiled, her tone relaxed. What's so hard about making a fire? Zhang Hao brought a gas stove, didn't he? It's very convenient. As long as everyone pays attention to safety, it'll be fine. We're not kids anymore. Li Shui opened her mouth, as if she still wanted to say something, but seeing everyone's indifferent expressions, she swallowed the words back, only her brows slightly furrowed. An opportunity. I kept my head down, as if I were fully focused on solving a math problem, but my voice was neither too loud nor too soft, just enough for the few classmates around me to hear. It was as if I were murmuring to myself unconsciously, and yet as if I were echoing Linwei's words. Sigh, what bad luck. I just had to get a stomachache at a time like this. I'm so jealous. My voice was flat, with no trace of emotion. I didn't even look up. After saying that, I went right on scribbling and sketching on my draft paper, as if I had only muttered something absent-mindedly from being tired of studying. However, this sentence seemed to happen to confirm what Linwei and Zhang Hao had said. Sure enough, another boy who had originally stayed silent heard it and jumped in. A rare opportunity, always worrying about this and that. What a drag. It'd be so much fun to pick the vegetables and cook the meal yourself. Exactly, Wan Li also got excited. We can go check by the river. Maybe there really are wild vegetables, pure natural and pollution-free. Seeing that everyone said the same, the last trace of doubt in Li Shui was completely dispelled. She even smiled a little awkwardly. Yeah, I was overthinking it. Linwei gave the boy who had jumped in approvingly, then let her gaze casually sweep over me. I was still the same as ever, head down and buried in my books, showing no interest in what was going on around me. She probably felt that my unintentional remark had also indirectly supported her, and her mood improved even more. All right, as for safety, we'll just remind each other. Linwei made the final decision. The important thing is to have fun and leave behind a wonderful memory before the college entrance exam. It's settled then. Good, everyone cheered in response. No one mentioned the weather or safety again. The discussion quickly shifted to which brand of snacks to buy, how many cars would be needed, and where to find a place that was both fun and suitable for our picnic. Listening to them excitedly making plans, even down to exploring and foraging in that little riverside grove, my cold smile grew deeper. Yes, just like that, plan to your heart's content, and look forward to it to your heart's content. I never joined in any further conversation, perfectly playing the role of a marginal student who was having diarrhea, weak and wholly devoted to reading the sage's books, only in the gaps Between their discussions would I occasionally lift my eyelids, cast a cold glance at that group of self-satisfied classmates, and then refocus all my attention on my review materials. Their revelry had nothing to do with me. My battlefield was in the exam room next Monday, 3, on the day of the picnic, which was the Saturday 2 days before the college entrance exam. The sky was indeed a bit overcast, but it didn't rain. Instead, the summer heat felt somewhat milder, according to the plan. I arrived at the school gate right on time in the morning, which was their designated meeting point. Several hired cars were already parked there, and the SUV Zhang Hao had arranged stood out especially, with even a box strapped to the roof for the barbecue grill. The classmates arrived one after another, each of them beaming with excitement and anticipation, carrying various ingredients, drinks, and picnic mats in large and small bags. Their laughter and chatter nearly pierced through the somewhat gloomy weather. Linwei was wearing a more practical athletic outfit today, still bright and beautiful. Like a fluttering butterfly, she moved through the crowd, counting heads and checking supplies. Did you bring enough drinks? The meat is in the insulated box with me. Who brought mosquito repellent? There are a lot of mosquitoes by the river. I stood in a corner not far away, deliberately hunching my back slightly and pressing a hand to my stomach, forcing a pale, weak look onto my face as I silently watched them. Zhang Hao was the first to spot me. He was stuffing a case of beer into the trunk, and the moment he saw me, he immediately shouted, "Yo, isn't that Chinemo? What's up? Your stomach's still not better. Look at how jealous you are. Ha ha ha." His booming voice immediately drew everyone's attention. One after another, their gazes turned to me, most of them carrying mockery and a watching for the show kind of expression. Linwei also looked over, the corners of her mouth lifting into a smile that wasn't quite a smile. "What, do you really want to come with us? Too bad, there doesn't seem to be enough room in the car." Her tone was unabashedly dismissive. I raised my head and forced out a feeble smile, deliberately making my voice sound weak too. "Haha, my stomach's just not cooperating. You've all prepared so thoroughly. Have fun, tch." A boy named Lu Chang sneered, "Miss this chance, and years later when you look back, it'll all be regrets." "Exactly," another girl chimed in, "but a picnic is hard work. With that weak, run-down body of yours, going would just be a nuisance. Better stay home and honestly hit the books." Top student, she especially stressed the last 3 words, top student, with unmistakable mockery. Wenli clapped her hands, feigning regret. "Sigh, no luck for you then. We've prepared tons of delicious food. Plus Housy's signature secret grilled wings that he swore on his chest were amazing. Once we post the photos in the group chat, we'll make you drool to death." "Not only that," Zhang Hao said proudly, patting the beer in the trunk, "there's this too. Too bad you won't get to enjoy it." They spoke over one another, as if standing on some lofty pedestal, collectively teasing and bidding farewell to me, the sickly one and bookworm. There was not a trace of genuine concern, only the delight of putting me down to make their trip seem more meaningful. I kept that weak, slightly regretful expression the whole time, faced with their mockery. I neither refuted nor got angry. I simply nodded occasionally and kept repeating, have fun, that's great." My gaze swept across one excited, naive face after another, and I etched their expressions at that moment deeply into my memory, especially Linwei, who reveled in everyone's mockery of me, a victor's smile on her face. Finally, everyone had arrived, and the supplies had also been loaded onto the trucks. Linwei clapped her hands. "All right, everyone's here, let's set off." She gave me one last glance, her eyes carrying a hint of contempt and disdain, as if saying, "See, we have more fun without you, let's go." "So cool," the classmates cheered, scrambling to squeeze onto the bus. Just before getting on, Zhang Hao even called out to me on purpose, "Hey, Chinemo, take good care of the place for us. We'll tell you all the fun stuff when we get back." Engines started, and the cars drove away from the school gate one after another. Someone stuck a hand out of the window and waved, their laughter faintly drifting through the glass. I stood there, continuing to look as weak as before, until the last car turned the corner and disappeared completely. All the feigned weakness and regret on my face vanished in an instant, replaced by a cold indifference. I stared in the direction the cars had disappeared, my gaze deep, as if it could pierce through space. A gentle breeze brushed past, carrying the damp scent of soil. I took a soft breath, turned around, and started walking toward home. My back was straight, my steps steady, completely unlike the stomachache patient from just moments before. Their revelry had begun. My stage is about to open as well, for back home, where only the occasional sound of traffic from outside could be heard in the quiet, I locked the door behind me and shut out the world filled with hypocrisy and mockery. A vast silence enveloped me. I walked straight to my desk, where the gray-white light from outside fell onto the open exercise book and textbooks. casting a cold, desolate sheen. Good, this is exactly what I need. I took a deep breath, trying to drive out all the noisy voices in my head, Zhanghao's shouting, Lin Wei's soft laughter, everyone's mockery, and now was not the time to be ruled by hatred. Calm and focus were my weapons. I switched on the desk lamp, and the soft light illuminated a small patch of the desktop. I picked up my pen and forced myself to focus on math formulas and English words. Time slipped by. I solved the exercises efficiently and sorted out my error notebook, feeling far more composed than ever. I don't know how much time had passed when the phone lying beside me suddenly lit up, and the relentless barrage of message notifications broke the room's silence. It was the class group chat. I glanced at it without immediately picking it up. A few minutes later, the notification sounds grew even more frequent, almost merging into one continuous stream. That should be enough. Only then did I slowly pick up my phone, unlock it, and open the group chat that had already blown up. In an instant, dozens of photos and countless voice and text messages popped up, almost freezing the screen. Zhanghao sent several photos of their arrival at the riverside, with the muddy river and a dense forest in the background. Zhanghao, we're here, not a bad spot, right? The air is great. At everyone, Lin Wei posted a selfie, holding up a bottle of drink and smiling brightly, with classmates busily laying out picnic mats and carrying things in the background. Lin Wei, let's get started. Looking forward to a big feast. Cute emoji. Wangli, wow, there are really so many wildflowers here, and so many plants I've never seen before. So amazing. Then there was a short video shot by Lu Chang, the camera swaying past a clearing in the woods. On the ground were mushrooms of various colors. The camera deliberately lingered for a few seconds on a plump mushroom that looked especially good. Lu Chang, look what I found. All natural wild mushrooms, extra supper tonight. What followed immediately was a flurry of replies. Sun Qian, wow, this mushroom is so pretty. Can you eat it? Curious Li Shui. It seems, mushrooms with overly bright colors are all poisonous, right? We'd better not pick them carelessly. Zhanghao, what's there to be afraid of? Anyone can tell you've got no experience. This isn't one of those bright red ones. The grayish ones like this are the tastiest, right? Wei Wei, Lin Wei, it's fine. We'll just pick a little less, just to taste something fresh and try it out. Wanli, yeah, if Sister Wei says it's fine, then it must be fine. Lu Chang, already picked them, we'll make soup tonight. I looked at that close-up of the mushrooms, and my heart didn't stir at all. People can teach you, but you may never learn. Only experience teaches you. Once is enough. That wasn't just true for them, it was true for me too. The group chat is still being flooded non-stop. The barbecue grill had already been set up, and the charcoal was blazing red. All kinds of meat skewers and vegetables were laid out on the picnic mat. Fat mushrooms of various colors had been washed and placed in a disposable bowl, standing out especially conspicuously. Zhanghao, the mushrooms are ready, just waiting to be tossed into the pot. Brothers, get ready to have your eyebrows blown off by how fresh it is. Lin Wei, looking forward to it. Drooling. Lu Chang, ha ha ha, that kitchen MO is really at a loss. He can only be at home gnawing on cold steamed buns. At Chinemo Wanli, don't bring up that buzzkill. Let's enjoy ourselves. They had mentioned me, but I just looked on coldly, with no desire to reply at all. My fingers slid across the screen as I watched them step by step head toward a recorded frenzy of self-destruction, as if watching a play that had nothing to do with me. I set my phone to silent and placed it face down on the table. The clamor in the group chat was completely cut off. The room returned to a comforting silence. I picked up my pen again, and my eyes fell back on the workbook. The formulas and words were now incredibly clear and familiar. Outside, their feast was reaching its climax. As for my world, there was only the rustle of my pen across the paper, and the calm, razor-sharp preparation for the real showdown. 2 days later, Saturday night was exceptionally quiet. I studied until very late, but with astonishing efficiency, my thoughts so clear it felt as though I could see through all the fog. On Sunday morning, I was woken by the patter of rain outside the window. It wasn't heavy, but the sky was dark and overcast. As usual, I got up, washed, made breakfast, then sat back down at my desk and opened the last-minute review outline. My phone was right beside me, still on silent. Time passed minute by minute, and by around noon, the phone screen started flashing at an unusual frequency. It wasn't a non-stop barrage of group messages, but rather intermittent, yet even more urgent. The screen lit up, went dark, then lit up again, showing push notifications from different apps, along with a few text message alerts. I didn't look at my phone right away. Instead, I calmly finished the physics problem I was working on, checked the answer, and only then slowly picked up my phone. What caught my eye first were a few push notifications from a news app. Local news urgent. A mass food poisoning incident has occurred by the river in the suburbs of our city, and more than 10 high school students have been sent to the hospital for treatment. Breaking news: suspected accidental consumption of wild poisonous mushrooms has left several students at a certain middle school in critical condition, right on the eve of the college entrance exam. Social news: heartbreaking, picnic turns tragic, college entrance exam candidates hospitalized in groups, their futures in jeopardy. Every headline was more alarming than the last. With a blank expression, I opened one of them. The news briefly described the incident as having occurred yesterday at the Riverside Park where Linway and the others had gone. It was preliminarily determined that they had accidentally eaten wild poisonous mushrooms they had picked themselves. The exact number of people and their identities were still being verified, and all patients had already been rushed to the Municipal People's Hospital for emergency treatment. After closing the news, I opened my text messages. There were 2 messages from an unknown number, but judging from the prefix, it looked like our school's mass text message number. Urgent notice. Please have all parents immediately confirm whether the student is at home. If they participated in yesterday's suburban picnic event, please contact homeroom teacher Wang immediately. Municipal Education Bureau. Urgent reminder. Do not pick or eat wild mushrooms recently. If you had a picnic by the suburban river yesterday and are experiencing any discomfort, please go to the emergency department of the Municipal People's Hospital immediately. It seems the school and the education system have already been alerted. Finally, I opened the class group chat, which had already accumulated 99 plus unread messages. The messages inside had completely changed tone, no longer yesterday's excitement and bragging. They were now drowned out by endless panic, crying, and chaos. The earliest message was around 6 or 7 this morning, from a boy named Zhao Yu, who had also gone there yesterday. Zhao Yu, damn it, my stomach hurts like hell. I can't stop vomiting. Is anyone else like this? No one replied. Zhao Yu, I can't take it anymore. My parents are taking me to the hospital. How are you guys? Lu Chang sent a 60-second voice message. When opened, it was the sound of violent vomiting and painful groaning, with his parents' anxious cries and urging in the background. Sun Qian, I'm at the hospital, getting my stomach pumped. It feels awful. The doctor said it might be mushroom poisoning. What do I do? Wang Li sent a photo of a hospital bed rail and the back of a hand hooked up to an 4, with the caption, I'm here too, I've vomited until there's no bile left. Zhenhao, damn it, there's definitely something wrong with those mushrooms. Linway at Linway, didn't you say it was fine? Linway did not reply. Next, more classmates who had gone there began to speak up, and without exception, they were all describing their own pain and panic, all at Linway, questioning, complaining, and even cursing. Li Shui, I'm also at the hospital. I said yesterday that the color was too bright and it might be toxic. None of you listened. Lu Chang's mother, what is wrong with you kids? How can you just eat things randomly? Cheng Cheng is still in the emergency room. What on earth is going on? Zhenghao's father, at everyone who organized this, who picked the mushrooms, whoever is responsible, speak up. Haozi is in very bad condition right now. Teacher Wang, parents and students, please don't panic. The school leaders are already heading to the hospital. Please be sure to follow the doctor's arrangements. Right now, the most important thing is the children's health. Please keep your phones reachable. The group chat had completely descended into chaos. The students' pained groans, the parents' furious accusations, the teachers' anxious reassurances, all kinds of messages intertwined, filling the air with despair and panic. Occasionally, classmates who hadn't gone along would pop up, sending shocked and prayerful remarks like, oh my god, how could this happen, and wishing everyone's safety, but they were quickly drowned out by even more bad news. I watched the new messages keep popping up on the screen, as if I could hear the cries and vomiting in the hospital through my phone. I didn't send a single word, because there was no need to. I just kept scrolling through them quietly, one by one, watching them go from yesterday's revelry and smugness to today's pain and despair, watching the parents' furious demands for accountability, watching every accusation begin to point, with precision, toward the person who had never shown up or spoken out. Linway, I don't know how long had passed when a new news push notification popped up. Live report from a reporter at the hospital. Latest developments in yesterday's mass food poisoning incident in the suburbs. All 15 poisoned students have been admitted to the hospital, most in serious condition and undergoing blood purification treatment. The hospital said that all patients are now out of life-threatening danger, but because the poisoning is severe, they still require close observation and cannot be discharged in the short term. It is reported that all the patients are senior year students from a certain high school in our city, and this incident may cause them all to miss tomorrow's college entrance examination. Miss the college entrance examination altogether. I looked at those words, and my heart remained utterly still. All of this is exactly what they deserve. The rain outside seemed to be falling even more heavily. 6. I stayed at home all day on Sunday. The rain outside showed no sign of letting up. tapping against the windowpanes as if providing a dull background score for a tragedy. The review materials in front of me were still spread open, but I knew that today it would be hard for me to fully concentrate on them. The class group had completely turned into a disaster live stream and an accountability tribunal every few minutes. New cries, accusations, or roars of anger would pop up. Around 11 in the morning, a new wave of messages began bombarding the chat. Lu Chang's mom, the doctor said it. It's severe mushroom poisoning. The liver damage is serious. He needs to be hospitalized and observed for at least 2 weeks. 2 weeks. What about the college entrance exam? Is my Chan Chang's life ruined for good? At Linway's parents come out. Who is it that stirred up the picnic? Who said the mushrooms were edible? Attached was a photo of the corridor outside the ICU ward, blurry and suffocating. Zhanghao's father. I'm asking you a question, Linway. Are you deaf? Haozi is lying unconscious in there now. The doctor said he needs something called plasma exchange. The cost is terrifyingly high. Who's going to take responsibility for this? Can you afford it? And that Lu Chang who picked the mushrooms, why are your hands so damn cheap? You dare pick anything. Behind him came the agreement of other parents, right, they must be held responsible. The organizer bears primary responsibility. The one who picked the mushrooms can't escape blame either. Sun Qian, I also need to stay in the hospital for observation. The doctor said my liver function indicators are very high. The college entrance exam, I definitely won't be able to take it, followed by a string of breakdown and crying emojis. Li Shui. I'm also on in 4 drip. I really warned everyone yesterday. No one listened to me. This time, no one refuted her anymore, and of course, no one replied to her. The words college entrance examination seemed like a spell, appearing over and over in every message, mixed with pain, despair, and overwhelming rage. They finally realized clearly that what they had lost was not just the fun of this picnic, but a crucial opportunity in life. After the initial chaos, all the blame began to shift with uncanny precision, concentrating its fire on one target, Zhanghao's father, at Lin. Wei's parent is hiding. Going to help. Come out and give us an explanation. Wasn't it you who suggested going on the picnic? Wasn't it you who encouraged everyone to pick mushrooms? Lu Chang's mother. It was her. Yesterday, when Cheng Cheng posted mushroom photos in the group, it was her who said it's fine and give it a try. I saw it all. It was this Linway, Wan Li's mother. Our Lily kept saying when she got home, Sister Wei said it was fun, and Sister Wei said it was fine. The child doesn't know any better, don't you, as the one who took the lead, know any better? Sun Qian's father, you organized the event without considering safety risks, blindly confident, and now that something has happened you're playing the turtle and hiding. Where is your sense of responsibility? The messages tagging at Linway in the group had already flooded the screen. Occasionally, someone who didn't know what was going on would ask, "How is Linway doing?" and was immediately drowned out by waves of outrage. How else could she be doing? She's probably hiding and too scared to show her face. Her family must give all of our families an explanation. Linway never responded with a single word. This silence only enraged the anxious and frightened parents even more. In the afternoon, homeroom teacher Mr. Wang tried once again to regain control of the situation. Mr. Wang, dear parents, please calm down. The school is actively communicating with the hospital and doing everything possible to protect the children's health. Holding anyone accountable is not the priority right now. Please trust that the school and the law will deliver a fair resolution. Zhanghao's father, Mr. Wang, anyone can say nice things. The one lying in there isn't your child. The one missing the college entrance exam isn't your child. How are we supposed to stay calm? Lu Chang's mother, fair. How is that fair? Can it make my Changqiang get better right away and go take the exam? Can it? The teacher's words were instantly swallowed by even more fury. The parents had already lost their reason. The huge loss and fear left them desperately needing a specific target for their anger and someone to hold accountable. And Linway, the former class beauty and the center of everyone's admiration, was now perfectly cast in that role. I put down my phone and walked to the window, looking out at the rain-soaked world beyond. At that moment, the hospital must have been in complete chaos, filled with the sounds of gastric lavage machines, the beeping of monitors, patients' groans, parents' wails, and doctors' hurried footsteps. And those classmates who were mocking me yesterday for lacking the appetite and the courage are now lying in hospital beds, enduring the excruciating pain of their bodies and the immense psychological torment of about to miss the college entrance examination. Their life trajectories have, before my eyes, through a tiny phone screen, undergone a drastic and irreversible change. All of this stemmed from what seemed like a pleasant outing and picnic, from one person's suggestion and a group's blind following. I let out a soft breath, and even the air seemed to carry a faint, cold smell of disinfectant drifting from the hospital. They reaped what they sowed. These 4 words have never felt so concrete and profound as they do now. 7. Sunday night arrived amid an atmosphere of extreme oppression and restlessness. The rain kept falling, with no sign of Letting up messages in the class group did not diminish with the fall of night. The waves of denunciation and calls for accountability grew louder and louder, having already spread from online to offline. Around 8 in the evening, the nature of the messages in the group changed again. Zhang Hao's dad, at everyone, families at the Municipal People's Hospital, please pay attention. A parent just said they saw Linwei and her parents come to the hospital, over by the gastroenterology department on the 7th floor of the inpatient building. It looks like they're trying to sneak in and check out the situation. Lu Chang's mom, they still have the nerve to come, dare to come but not say a word in the group. Guilty conscience. 7th floor, right, we're heading over right now. Wan Li's mom, right, we have to get an explanation from them. They can't hide forever. Sun Qian's dad, everyone, go over there. Today we have to make them give a clear answer. Compensation, responsibility, none of it can be left out. The group was instantly flooded with messages like go there now, stop them, and meet on the 7th floor. The angry parents had clearly organized themselves and were going to the hospital to block Linwei's family. Over the next hour or so, the group quieted down for a while, but through the screen, one could still feel the tension of an approaching storm. I knew that the center of the storm had already shifted from online to the corridor on the 7th floor of the inpatient building at the Municipal People's Hospital. Around 9:30 p.m., the first message from the front line broke the silence. The sender is Zhao Yu, and he seems to be feeling a bit better, still able to get out of bed and walk around. Zhao Yu, my God, they're fighting. A lot of parents are surrounding Linwei's mom and dad. It's getting really loud. Linwei has been crying the whole time. Her dad tried to protect her, but he was shoved around by several parents. Nurses and security guards have come over too. They can't even pull them apart. Zhao Yu sent a voice message, and the background noise in it was extremely chaotic. One could clearly hear piercing cries, angry shouts from a man, a woman's curses, security guards barking orders, and the sound of glassware shattering. Utter chaos. This voice message was like a bomb, blasting out everyone else who was still in the group chat. Oh my God, did they really start fighting? What happened? Zhao Yu, hurry up and tell us. At Zhao Yu, don't just keep recording, break it up. Why should I break it up? Serves them right. If it were me, I'd hit back too. A few minutes later, Zhao Yu sent another, even shorter voice message. The background noise was still chaotic, but his voice sounded even more panicked to Zhao Yu. It's no use, I can't hold them back. Zhang Hao's dad has gone crazy. He's saying Linwei has to pay with her life. Lu Chang's mom rushed up to hit Linwei. The stairs, they're heading toward the stairs. So many people are crowding over there, I can't see anymore. The two characters' stares stabbed into my eyes like ice picks. At that moment, my heartbeat seemed to stop for an instant. It had come. The wheel of history had finally, in another form, rolled over the one who had set it all in motion. The group chat was instantly flooded with all kinds of, what happened, what's going on. What followed was more than 10 minutes of dead silence. No new messages came from the hospital front line in the group chat, as if everyone had been seized by the throat by that sudden chaos, able only to stare anxiously at their phone screens. Then, a message from Lu Chang's mother popped up, no longer an angry roar, but a voice choked with extreme terror and trembling as she cried. Lu Chang's mother, it wasn't on purpose, really, it wasn't on purpose, gone mad, everyone's gone mad, pushed her down, she fell, so much blood, help, doctor, come quickly. It was obviously incoherent due to panic. After this message, the group chat fell completely into a deathly silence. No one spoke anymore, no one asked any questions, no one showed any expression. Everyone understood who she was and what fell down meant. That staircase leading to hell ultimately claimed a life, only this time, it wasn't mine. The sound of rain outside seemed to grow louder, pattering against everything, like the final movement of a tragic piece played for the disaster that had unfolded in the hospital stairwell. I put down my phone, and the glow of the screen faded, leaving the room completely dark. In the darkness, I sat quietly, listening to the rain outside. Estranged from everyone, an accidental shove fell down the stairs. The ending that happened to me in my past life, in this life, came back upon Linwei herself, exact in every detail, and the cause of all this was still the bitter fruit she herself had planted. What goes around comes around. 8 Monday. The day of the college entrance examination. The sky was still overcast, with a steady drizzle. I got up early, had a light breakfast, and checked my admission ticket, ID card, and stationery pouch several times. My mood was as calm as a windless lake. Before leaving, I took one last look at my phone. The class group was deathly silent. The last message was still the text conversion of the voice note Lu Chang's mother had sent last night, full of terror and despair, like an ugly scar that had frozen all the noise in place. But information from other channels had already begun piecing together the full outline of the incident and what came after. First to pop up was a local news push notification from a little after 5 in the morning. Last night, a tragedy suddenly occurred in our city yesterday at the Municipal People's Hospital. A fierce conflict broke out among the families involved after the collective food poisoning incident from the day before. A female student was shoved in the chaos and fell down the stairs. Despite all-out rescue efforts, she was pronounced dead at 12:00 a.m. Today, the police have launched an investigation, and the people involved have been brought under control. It is reported that the deceased girl was the organizer of the poisoning incident activities. The headline is cold and objective, no longer using emotionally charged words like high school student or college entrance exam candidate, but directly pointing to the core of the incident: conflict, shoving, death, organizer. Opening the news article reveals more details, mentioning that parents of multiple students, agitated, got into a physical altercation with the organizer's family. An accident occurred during the process. A girl surnamed Lynn unfortunately fell. Several parties suspected of negligent manslaughter have been criminally detained by the police in accordance with the law, and the case is still under further review. Girl surnamed Lynn, criminal detention. These words put a legal footnote on the insane chaos of last night. Then, I received several text messages from unfamiliar numbers. Judging by the content, they seem to have been sent uniformly by the school. Dear examinees, today's college entrance examination will proceed as scheduled. Please bring your admission ticket and ID card, and arrive at the examination venue on time. We wish everyone calmness, composure, and the best possible performance. Additionally, regarding yesterday's sudden incident, the school is deeply saddened. A special task force has now been formed to handle the aftermath and cooperate with the police investigation. Please focus on the examination and do not be disturbed. We wish you success in the imperial examination. The school's text messages worked hard to maintain composure, trying to keep the college entrance exam and the tragedy separate, but the heaviness and helplessness seeping through the lines could not be concealed. I put away my phone, picked up the transparent pencil case, and stepped out of the house. The fine rain fell gently on my face, carrying a chill. On the way to the exam site, I could see many candidates hurrying to their test centers accompanied by their parents. Their parents' faces were marked with nervousness and anticipation, while the children mostly wore solemn expressions, clutching their admission tickets. Even the air around seemed to be filled with an unusual atmosphere. Occasionally, I could hear passers-by murmuring in low voices, "Have you heard? Someone died at the People's Hospital yesterday. It seems like a group of students got food poisoning." And then their parents started fighting and something went wrong. Oh my, what a tragedy. And today is still the college entrance exam. It seems to be one of the poisoned kids, the one named something way, Tisk, TSK, TSK, so this life is just over like that. These whispers drifted like dust in the wind, faint and indistinct. I arrived at the school gate of the exam venue, went through strict security checks, found my exam room, and sat down. Most of the candidates around me remained silent, making their final preparations or taking deep breaths in an attempt to calm themselves. Most of them probably still didn't know, or didn't fully know, about the tragedy that had happened yesterday. They were still immersed in the tension of the major exam that was about to determine their fate. The bell rang, the proctor handed out the exam papers. Only the rustling sound of pen tips moving across paper remained in the classroom. I opened the exam paper and scanned the questions, and my mind instantly sank into them. The world outside, the tragedy at the hospital, the parents' breakdown, the judgment of the law, the loss of life, all of it was temporarily shut out beyond the solemn and quiet examination hall. My pen moved smoothly, my thoughts clear and focused. I knew this was a battle I had to fight alone, and I would surely win. The 2 days of exams passed steadily. After each exam ended and I walked out of the exam hall, I could feel an invisible, heavy atmosphere lingering outside the test center. More and more parents and examinees seemed to have heard about that incident. On their faces, there was less post-exam excitement and more complicated, hard-to-express sighs and relief. Relieved that the child who had gotten into trouble was not their own. Relieved that their own child could still take the exam normally. I walked through these comments and looked straight home, prepared for the next exam, and made no response to any remarks, nor did I take part in any discussions. The bell signaling the end of the college entrance examination finally rang. I walked out of the exam site with the crowd and let out a long breath. It's over. Almost at the same time, my phone vibrated. It was a push notification from the news app. Latest developments in the city's mass food poisoning and subsequent falling death incident. The parents of the students involved, Liu, male, 41, and Zhang, male, 43, have been officially approved for arrest by the Procuratorate on suspicion of Negligent homicide. Several other parents who took part in the conflict have been granted bail pending trial. All students hospitalized due to poisoning have now been out of danger, but still require treatment and have regrettably missed the college entrance examination. The aftermath of the falling death of the female student Lynn is currently being handled. The dust has finally settled. Arrest, release on bail pending trial, missing the college entrance examination, and follow-up arrangements. These cold words brought a heavy and unmistakable close to this enormous storm, triggered by a picnic and sweeping through more than a dozen families. I stood in the sunshine after the rain, watching the relieved examinees and parents on the street, feeling a different kind of relief entirely from theirs. My battle was over, their nightmare was far from over. 9. The summer after the college entrance examination unfolded in a strange way. The city seemed to quickly return to its usual rhythm, but for our class, and for the families caught up in the storm, time seemed frozen in the hospital and the police station. The class group chat never came back to life. That final terrified voice message stood like a tombstone, freezing all the noise in place. No one was willing to say another word in it. It became a forbidden place everyone tacitly avoided. Occasionally, bits of scattered news would drift into my ears like ghosts, through private chats with other classmates or word-of-mouth rumors. Zhang Hao and Lu Chang's dad seems to have been sentenced for negligent manslaughter for several years. The other parents who got involved also all got dealt with and had to pay a lot of money. Wan Li and the others have been discharged from the hospital, but the liver damage seems to have left after effects, and they'll need to take medication and recuperate long-term. Li Shui is preparing to repeat a year. She said she'll never take part in any group activities again. Sun Qian's family seems to be trying to pull some strings to send her abroad, to leave this heartbreaking place. As for Lin Wei's family, Sai, her parents seem to have moved away. They said they'd never come back. Every name corresponded to a broken life and family. I didn't deliberately go asking around, but news like this always found its way to me in one form or another. Like fragments scattered after the storm, I kept myself shut in at home, reading books, watching movies, and occasionally going out for a walk. My parents had a vague idea that something serious had happened in our class, but seeing that I was safe and sound and seemed unwilling to talk about it, they tactfully refrained from asking any further. The outside world's discussion of this matter gradually died down, replaced by new hot topics. Time flowed quietly, and finally the day of the college entrance exam results arrived. I sat in front of the computer and calmly entered my exam admission number. The page refreshed, and a clear score appeared on the screen. It was even a little higher than I had expected. A 985 university was now assured. I felt a surge of excitement inside. This was the outcome I had longed for but never achieved in my previous life. It was the new starting point of my life in this one. Soon after, in the class's dead silent group chat, the only message unrelated to the tragedy was posted by our homeroom teacher, Miss Wang. It was a notice for the whole class to check their results and guidance on filling out college preferences. Of course, she was only mechanically carrying out her duties, with no extra words of encouragement or comfort afterward. A few days later, the admission letter arrived. In the thick envelope, with its exquisite gold-embossed school emblem, was the 985 university I had dreamed of day and night. I took a photo, but I didn't post it on any social media. I just quietly put it away. For the entire summer vacation, I barely contacted any of my former classmates. They seemed to have completely vanished from my world, or rather, I had completely slipped out of their nightmare. With only a few days left before the new semester, I quietly started packing my things. I carefully slipped the brand new admission letter into the inner pocket of my backpack, sorted the study materials covered in notes, and prepared to seal them away. Standing in the middle of the room, I looked at this small space I had lived in for years, and my gaze finally fell on the empty desk. There used to be a phone there, its screen wildly flashing the revelry, pain, anger, and ultimate destruction of a group, and now, it was all over. I pulled up the handle of my suitcase, took one last look at the room, and closed the door. The train station was bustling with people. My parents saw me off to the platform, reminding me to be careful while away, their eyes full of pride and reluctance. I nodded to each of them, hugged them, and then turned and got on the train. I found a seat by the window and sat down. The train slowly started moving, and the familiar city scenery began to drift backward, faster and faster. I looked out the window as those familiar streets and buildings gradually blurred and receded into the distance, those classrooms filled with mocking laughter, those hospital corridors thick with the smell of disinfectant, those group chats on my phone filled with angry roars, those faces alive or already gone. Everything was left far behind by the speeding train, eventually shrinking and disappearing below the horizon. Ahead lay a brand new city, a brand new school, a brand new life, no nightmares, no burdens, no scum I had to deal with in polite pretense or watch with cold indifference, only me, and a vast, boundless world for me to roam freely in. The train roared on, crossing the plains and heading toward a bright future. A truly relaxed and peaceful smile finally appeared on my face. At last, I was completely free of it. A new life has begun. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. Mom used a pesticide bottle to store cooking oil. I said to throw it away, but she said it had been washed and was clean. I told her that eating pesticides would cause instant death, or at least organ failure if not fatal, but she slapped me and scolded me, saying I thought I knew everything just because I'd read a few books. I threw the bottle of oil directly into the trash can. Mom, annoyed, kicked me, picked up the bottle of oil from the trash can, poured it into my mouth, and angrily scolded, "Didn't I say you couldn't eat it? I want to see if you'll die after eating it, you prodigal son, wasting my oil." I died of poisoning after consuming that oil. When I opened my eyes again, I was back to the day Mom put oil in a pesticide bottle. You silly girl, what are you spacing out for? Hurry up and hold the bottle properly. You're always so scatterbrained. I don't know who you take after, Mom nudged my elbow hard. I was suddenly stunned. Had I been reborn, and I was reborn to the day Mom used the pesticide bottle to hold oil? In my previous life, my mother used a pesticide bottle to store cooking oil. At the time, I desperately tried to stop her, telling her that eating pesticides would kill people, and even if she was lucky enough to survive, her organs would fail. I tried to stop her from pouring the oil and wanted to throw the oil that had been poured into the bottle into the trash. My mother was furious, slapped me, and scolded me for being conceited after only a few years of schooling, but at that time, I directly threw that pesticide bottle containing oil into the trash can. Mom got even angrier. She kicked me, picked up the bottle of oil from the trash can, and started pouring it into my mouth, yelling, "Didn't you say you couldn't eat it? I'd like to see if you'll die after eating it, you good for nothing. How dare you waste my oil?" After drinking the oil, I died of poisoning, but Mom, arm in arm with Dad, smiled happily. "It's good that she's dead. Now we can get the money from those two old folks. If we don't get this money, what will our son in my belly eat and wear in the future?" Anyway, she was just a money pit. It was only at this moment that I suddenly realized this was all a conspiracy, and Mom thought I was a girl and would be a burden in the future. So I was thrown to my grandparents' house as soon as I was born. My grandparents had a huge fight with my mom over this at the time. After my grandparents passed away, the government gave us a compensation payment, and she had always harbored ill intentions towards it. To get that compensation, to provide for the future needs of the son in their belly, they never intended for me to live. "Mom, be careful, don't spill it, it'll be wasted if you do." I snapped back to reality, staring at the bottle, watching my mom pour rapeseed oil into a pesticide bottle, and smiled. Mom looked at me, as if she wanted to say something, but in the end, she said nothing. I watched as the pressed rapeseed oil was poured, drop by drop, into the bottle that had once held pesticides. Then, watching my mother pour the oil into the pan, where it sizzled, I suppressed my inner excitement. At dinner that evening, my father called out, "Tiffany, come out and eat." My mother impatiently said, "Don't bother whether she eats or not. If she wants to eat, she eats. If not, then forget it. A money waster. It'd be best if she died, then the family could save some oil and rice." In all these years, I've never truly felt their care, simply because when I was born, I contracted neonatal pneumonia and was a premature baby, spending a month in an incubator, which cost them a lot of money. Moreover, my mother desperately wanted a son, but I was a daughter, so, not long after I left the hospital, my mother dropped me off at my grandparents' house and never looked back to them. I was just a despised money pit back then. They wouldn't visit me once a year, and they never bought me new clothes for holidays. If my grandparents hadn't passed away last year, and if relatives and friends hadn't constantly urged them, I would never have been taken back by them. Even now that I'm back, they're not particularly good to me. I closed the book, took a deep breath, opened the door, and went out, pulling up a chair and sitting down. I merely glanced at the dishes on the table a few extra times before my mother shot me a glare. "What are you looking at? This meat is for your brother. You're not entitled to it." After saying that, my mother even patted her bulging belly, her face full of smiles, as if the child in her womb was definitely a son. I sneered inwardly. They had gone to great lengths to have a son, seeking medical advice everywhere, and now, after finally conceiving, it was said that a hospital checkup confirmed it was a boy. I stared at the large table of dishes, stir-fried with oil from pesticide bottles, and A faint smile touched my lips. Mom glanced at me, then picked up a piece of meat, put it in her mouth, and her eyes crinkled with laughter along with Dad's. I thought to myself, whether this child can be born successfully is still an unknown. After my mom ate a piece of meat, she put another piece on my dad's plate, telling him to eat it while it was hot, saying it wouldn't taste good once it cooled. She also ate a piece herself. They were practically meat lovers, with 5 or 6 dishes on the table, only one seaweed soup, and the rest all meat. I watched them, took a large steamed bun, and stuffed it into my mouth. Just as I picked up my chopsticks, before I could even grab any food, my mom slapped the back of my hand hard. "What are you doing? Are these dishes for you to eat?" The stinging pain on the back of my hand made me frown. I put down my chopsticks, endured the pain, and said with a smile, "Mom is right. These dishes are for my brother. I won't eat them. Mom should eat more. Mom eats more, so my brother can grow in Mom's belly. I'll just have steamed buns and seaweed soup." After saying that, I used a large ladle to scoop a big spoonful of seaweed soup into my bowl. I ate the steamed buns with seaweed soup very quickly. My mom listened to what I just said, then stuffed several more pieces of meat into her mouth. They kept discussing what to buy, what to add to the house, what formula to drink, what diapers to use, and what brand of clothes to wear once the baby in her belly was born. However, all these years, I have never worn any clothes they bought. Therefore, in their hearts, the child in her belly is their flesh and blood, and I am just an outsider. In my previous life, for the sake of my mother and the child in her womb, I cruelly threw that bottle of oil into the trash, only to be severely beaten. I'll never forget the scene where my mother held my head, shoved it into that trash can, and poured oil into my mouth. My good intentions were taken for granted, and I was cursed as a prodigal son, wasting her oil. Since that's the case, why should I remind them that putting oil in a pesticide bottle could be fatal? That's their destiny. I don't need to risk my own life to interfere. My parents were deep in discussion, my dad excitedly pouring himself some wine. They were both enthusiastically talking about what they would do after their son was born. Meanwhile, I quickly finished one large steamed bun, then started on a second. My mom stared at the second bun I was holding and said, "Are you a pig, eating 2 buns?" It was my dad who retorted to my mom, "It's just a bun, isn't it? Let her eat. She eats buns, and we and our son eat meat." Perhaps my dad's words, "me and our son," made my mother happy for a while. She didn't say anything, so I quickly ate. After dinner, my mom asked my dad to take her to buy things for my unborn brother, and told me to wash the dishes. Then, as my mom was about to throw away the leftover dishes, I grabbed her arm, looked at the unfinished food on the table, silently swallowed, and said, "Mom, don't throw it away. It's such a waste to throw away a whole table of food. You and your brother can't eat leftovers, but Dad can. You agree, right, Mom?" I said these words calmly, but my heart was sneering. Since they love eating food cooked with pesticide-tainted oil bottles so much, I'll just leave more for them to eat. After they left, I washed the dishes and then repeatedly washed my hands several times with soap. After washing up, I returned to my room to continue with my exercises. In my previous life, I didn't even take the high school entrance exam. This time, I must study hard and get into a good high school. Time flew by as I was immersed in my exercises, and I didn't know when they returned. It was only when I was sleeping that I suddenly heard sounds coming from the living room. I heard my dad anxiously call out, "Fiona, what's wrong? Don't scare me." I came out of my room and saw my dad holding my mom, who was dry heaving and convulsing uncontrollably. My dad kept calling my mom's name. Seeing me standing still, he yelled at me, "Tiffany, what are you staring at? Go get help. Do you want to watch your mom and your brother get hurt?" I mumbled "oh" and slowly walked out the door to call for help, but by this time, everyone in the village was already asleep. I went inside and told my dad I couldn't find anyone. My dad glared at me, his eyes as if he wanted to kill me, and I just lowered my head and said nothing. Finally, my dad had to take my mom to the hospital on his electric scooter. It took a lot of effort to get my mom's round body onto the scooter. Before leaving, she also told me to quickly pack up my mom's things and take them to the hospital. The hospital is more than 10 kilometers from my home. Is she telling me to walk there? How ridiculous. However, I still packed up my mom's things. I hadn't even left the house when my dad came back again. He grabbed me by the collar and asked, "The doctor said they found pesticide in your mom's system. How did that get in the house?" I flinched, then pointed to the bottle of oil in the kitchen. When my dad saw the bottle, his face suddenly turned pale with fright. Under my dad's nervous gaze, I calmly said, "Mom said this bottle is perfect for oil. Dad, is there a problem?" My dad's face turned ashen, and he took me to the hospital again. Before we even reached the emergency room, I heard my mom's voice, "Doctor, I'm carrying a son. You have to save my son." I saw my mom Excitedly tugging at the doctor's white coat, after the examination, it was discovered that my mother had pesticides in her body. The doctor advised her to have a C-section early because the pesticide was highly toxic, and even with gastric lavage, it would definitely affect the baby in her womb. However, my mother kept saying that the baby wasn't full term yet and absolutely couldn't be delivered early by C-section. She even pointed at me and said that I was the premature one, who not only cost them a lot of money but also grew up frail and weak. But I want to say, I was thin because I never had enough to eat since childhood. That's why I was like that. What does it have to do with being premature? In the end, the doctor, with no other choice, arranged for my mother to have gastric lavage first, but after the lavage, the doctor's advice was still to have a C-section to avoid affecting the baby in her belly. But my mom absolutely refused to sign, and doctors would never perform a C-section against the family's wishes, so the baby was still in my mom's belly, and she was admitted to the hospital. I wandered around outside for a bit, and when I returned to the ward, they were arguing. Fiona, are you crazy? That's the bottle I put pesticide in this afternoon. Do you have any brains to actually use it for rapeseed oil? I washed it clean. I thought it would be fine. Speaking so loudly will scare our son. I saw my mom touching her bulging belly, her face full of grievance. Seeing this, my dad stopped talking, then the two of them started whispering again. It turned out they planned to go to the village's eccentric shaman to ask for some holy water. There really was such a shaman in our village. Last time, when an uncle in the village went mad, she concocted some so-called holy water, and then that uncle miraculously recovered. After they discussed for a long time, Dad stood up to leave and told me to stay and take care of Mom. Mom, I have school tomorrow. You should let Dad take care of you. What school? Take a leave of absence. Is your crappy school more important than your brother? My dad also chimed in with my mom, saying, Tiffany, you stay and take care of your mom. I have important things to do back home, and I have to work tomorrow. If I don't make money, what will you two eat and drink? Then he left, leaving just my mom and me in this 3-person hospital room. In the latter half of the night, I was sleeping soundly in a chair nearby when my mom woke me up, telling me to call the doctor because she felt nauseous and uncomfortable. After the doctor arrived, they suggested an immediate C-section, but my mother clutched the bed rails, refusing to go to the operating room, insisting on waiting for my father. I knew my mother was waiting for the divine water from that shaman. Ms. Fiona, although you didn't directly ingest pesticide, consuming oil mixed with pesticide is still very dangerous. If you don't listen to our advice, and something happens to your child, our hospital will not be responsible. My son will be fine. I've washed the oil bottle clean. Nothing will happen. Don't try to scare me. You're just trying to make money off me. I'm telling you, he's not full term yet. I won't let my son come out. Staying inside for one more day is definitely better than being outside. After my mom yelled the doctor out, I ran out and called him back. I told them, either let my mom sign a liability waiver, so that if anything happens later, it has nothing to do with the hospital. I watched the doctor stare at me in surprise. When the doctor came in with the waiver, my mom was too emotional to sign it. I held her hand. Mom, I'm telling you, once you sign this, the doctor won't make you have a C-section, and your brother can stay safely in your belly for longer. Didn't you say it's better to stay in the belly than outside? Look at me, I was premature, and it cost you a lot of money, didn't it? Mom, sign it. If you sign it, your brother won't be premature, and you can save a lot of money. My mom only heard that if she signed this document, they wouldn't keep pushing for a C-section, so she quickly picked up the pen and signed. The morning after signing, my mom called my dad to ask if the magic water had arrived, but my dad's phone was unreachable. My mom called our neighbor, Aunt Wendy, again. A little while later, when the neighbor called my mom back, she shouted into the phone, "It's bad, Fiona, it's bad. Your David has fainted and is foaming at the mouth." My dad was rushed to the hospital for emergency treatment. At one point, the doctor came out and dropped a bombshell. He can be saved, but multiple organs have failed, and he might be paralyzed afterward. Upon hearing this, my mom's body suddenly went limp. She then stared at the operating room for a long time before suddenly rushing into the emergency room. Mom rushed into the emergency room and started pulling at my dad, who was lying on the operating table. "Where's the holy water? Did you bring it? Where is it hidden?" When the doctors and nurses rushed in, my mom was still searching my dad, but she didn't find anything on him. "Ms. Fiona, your husband is still in critical condition. Please leave." But my mother couldn't find the magic water, and she went crazy. Finally, she was given a sedative and taken back to her room. After the nurse settled my mother, she patted my shoulder and asked, "Little sister, do you have any other relatives at home, even?" distant ones. Otherwise, how can you take care of two people by yourself? Obstetrics and gastroenterology are not on the same floor. I looked at my mother, who had just been given a sedative and was now lying asleep in the hospital room, and shook my head at the nurse. I'm the only one in the family. All those aunts and uncles, my parents had already fallen out with them at my grandparents' funerals at the time. My parents, in order to save money for their unborn son's future living expenses, not only skimped on some of the costs for my grandmother's funeral, what's even worse, they even wanted to skip the funeral altogether, taking her directly to the crematorium for cremation and burial. Because of this, those relatives and my parents had an exceptionally fierce argument. After the funeral, my parents took me home, and from then on, they cut off all contact with those relatives. Now, if they knew my mom ended up this way because she brought it upon herself, I bet they'd all burst out laughing. I went to see my dad. He was lying there, pale and lifeless. I remembered the delicious food and wine from that night. My dad ate a lot, perhaps, as the doctor said. He was strong, and the toxins took longer to take effect. The next day, my mom woke up, grabbed my arm, and asked, "Is your dad awake? Where's my magic water? Where's my son's magic water?" Seeing my silence, she started scolding me again. "You good for nothing. The pesticide bottle has such strong toxins, and you didn't even say anything. Are you deliberately trying to harm my son? I paid for you to read so many books. Why didn't you say anything? You jinx, you spendthrift. If anything happens to my son, I will never let you off." At noon, when the nurse came to collect my dad's hospital fees, my mom remembered the compensation from my grandparents again. "Tiffany, quickly take the compensation from those two old geezers and pay the hospital fees." "Mom, where would I get the money?" "All of Grandpa and Grandma's compensation went to my tuition. You and Dad haven't given me any money for so many years, so where would I have any money?" As soon as I said that, the aunt in the same ward looked at my mother several times, probably afraid that her excessive actions would be known. My mother glared at me, took the money, and told me to pay the hospitalization fee. I sneered a few times in my heart, holding the money. She and my dad had been coveting that money for a long time. They had already ransacked the room, but there was no way I was going to give them that money. When I returned to the ward after paying the hospital fees, my mom said she wanted to be discharged and go home to look for where my dad had put the miracle water, but just as my mom was preparing to be discharged and go home, the nurse ran over to tell me that my dad had woken up and was repeatedly muttering the words miracle water. As soon as my mom heard this, she didn't even bother to put on her shoes, dragging her plump body as she quickly ran towards my dad's ward. I saw my dad, trembling, take a small bottle from a crumpled bag nearby and stuff it into my mom's arms, saying, "Wife, drink this quickly. The shaman said if you drink it, our son will be fine." My mom didn't even think twice, quickly opened the small bottle, and gulped it all down. After drinking it, my mom and dad hugged each other and smiled happily. I stood at the door of the ward and let out a cold snort. The day my dad regained consciousness, my mom told him to leave the hospital, saying that the hospital fees were too expensive and she needed to save the money for the son in her belly. My dad listened to my mom and also strongly insisted on being discharged. I happily helped them pack their things. Once they were discharged, I could go to school, and I couldn't be happier. As we left, several nurses behind us were chattering amongst themselves. How can there be such strange people in the world, who would give up their lives for their son? Whether that child will survive is still unknown. Director Young said they needed a C-section, but they insisted the baby wasn't full term and refused, wanting the child to stay in the womb for a few more days, but that was pesticide. I estimate that even if they washed his stomach, the toxins have already entered his internal organs. This little sister is so pitiful. How could she have such parents? I held their belongings, thinking they would wait for me to take a taxi home together. However, by the time I had packed everything and gotten the medicine, they had already left me at the hospital and gone. When I returned home again, I saw my dad, pale-faced, cooking for my mom. When she saw me, my mom threw a grape at me and said, "You brat, what took you so long?" I watched the dark grape roll past my feet. I stared at it for a moment, then picked it up, suddenly walked a few steps forward, forced the grape into my mom's mouth, and calmly said, "Mom, you spent a lot of money on this hospital stay. It's such good grapes, it would be a shame to throw them away. Don't waste them." My mom was so angry she wanted to spit out the grape and hit me, but I was quicker. I took the large plate of grapes from her hand, ate a few in front of her, and said with a smile, "So sweet." My mom was furious. She picked up the small stool from the floor and threw it at me. I dodged, and the stool hit the ground. "Mom, mind the prenatal education, or your son will be born with a bad temper, and you'll have a tough time Later, after saying that, I took the plate of grapes into my room and locked the door. Outside the door, my mom was calling my dad's name, telling him to come and beat me. They tried to open the door, but because I had locked it, they couldn't. I stared at the plate of grapes, eating them carefully, but the sweetness filling my mouth still made me smile. I hadn't eaten them since my grandparents passed away. As I opened my workbook to start my exercises, my mom was throwing another tantrum outside the door. The consequence of snatching that plate of grapes was that they didn't call me for dinner that night. If you don't eat, you don't eat. Anyway, I'm full from that plate of grapes. Tomorrow is the mock exam, and I still need to focus on reviewing. In my previous life, I couldn't take the high school entrance exam. In this life, I'm going to work hard to get good grades. The next day, when I went to school, I applied to live in the dormitory. My homeroom teacher knew about my family situation. So when I suggested living at school, she quickly helped me apply. She patted my shoulder and told me to come to her if I needed anything. She looked at me as if she wanted to say something but held back. I knew what she wanted to say, but I just told her that nothing would affect my studies now. For more than a week after that, I lived at school, and my parents didn't contact me. I studied late into the night every day and woke up early in the morning, with no time to think about anything else. I had originally thought I could continue like this, quietly, until my high school entrance exams were over, as my mom's due date was still over a month away. However, 20 days before my high school entrance exams, my mom was hospitalized. Apparently, her water suddenly broke, and due to her excessive weight and the baby being in an abnormal position, a natural birth was difficult, so she had to have a C-section. That night, she gave birth to a son via C-section, a big, chubby boy weighing 8 pounds. However, the baby had one leg shorter than the other and a crooked mouth. My mother held the baby, crying and making a scene, accusing the doctor of incompetence, saying that all prenatal checkups were normal, so how could she have given birth to a disabled child? My dad hit the doctor, yelling at him about whether he had tampered with his son, and the scene was chaotic. Even the hospital security couldn't restrain my dad, so the hospital had to call the police. The police took my dad away. And only then did the farce come to an end. By the time I arrived at the hospital, my mom was throwing a tantrum at the nurse's station, sitting on the floor, holding her disabled son in her arms. She kept on cursing. "It's all you quacks' fault for doing this to my son. You need to compensate him. I'm telling you, if you don't cure my son, I'll see you and shut down your hospital." My mom kept crying and cursing. Suddenly, when she saw me in the crowd, my mom abruptly stood up and rushed over, holding her precious son with one arm and grabbing my hair with the other. "Tiffany, where did you run off to just now? Go scold these people. Look at your brother. It's all their fault." I pulled my hand away from my mom's, took a step back, and pointed at her, scolding, "Mom, don't be too much. You ate something with pesticides. The doctor told you to have a C-section early, but you didn't listen, and now you're blaming them for what? Besides, didn't you drink the shaman's holy water? How come my brother is still like this?" I said calmly, but my mom was furious. "Tiffany, what nonsense are you spouting? What holy water? It's the doctors at this hospital who made my son like this. They have to compensate for the damages." My mom caused such a scene that the hospital didn't know what to do. Finally, security came, but she still sat on the floor, refusing to get up. The director directly showed her the waiver my mom had signed at the time. Although my mom isn't highly educated, she can still read, and I calmly said next to her, "Mom, this is in black and white. You signed it yourself. Even if you make a fuss or sue, they won't acknowledge it." My mom got even angrier. I grabbed her wrist and whispered in her ear, "Mom, since you signed this, we definitely can't go through normal channels, but I think you could make a video. In this day and age, everyone loves watching videos. If you cry and complain in a live stream, you might even gain followers and get some unexpected money." My mom stared at me suspiciously, while I suppressed the urge to smile. This was quite the big gift I was giving my mom later. I said I had something else to do and left. My mom actually wanted to stop me from leaving, but her eldest son in her arms kept crying incessantly. That night, I found out my mom had registered an account and started a live stream from the hospital ward, crying hysterically while holding her eldest son. I knew she would do that. After all, she both doted on her son and was greedy for money. I saw people in the live stream defending my mom, and because of that, she attracted a large number of followers by playing the victim. Many people sent her gifts, saying they wanted to help her son. My mom cried and complained, while also blaming the hospital. Within just a few days, her followers exceeded 100,000. She tasted success and became even more reckless. After 3 days in the hospital, my mom was discharged. Although my dad hit someone, the hospital, perhaps out of pity, did not pursue charges against him for the assault. So after my mom signed the papers at the police station, my dad also came back. After my mom came home, my dad went to see the village shaman again. The shaman said that my brother would return to normal once he reached 1 month old, and that he just hadn't opened up yet. Then, they fed the newborn brother a bottle of so-called divine water. Both of them were deeply immersed in the shaman's lies, unable to extricate themselves. After my mom tasted the sweetness of live streaming, she even encouraged my dad to quit his job and join her in live streaming. I used a school computer to post a short video on a certain platform, showing my mom drinking holy water in the hospital. Immediately, the internet exploded. Of course, the even more explosive news was yet to come. The hospital released my mom's signed disclaimer on its official website, along with medical proof that my mom had her stomach pumped due to pesticide ingestion some time ago, and even released a video of doctors and nurses persuading my mom to have a C-section early. Coupled with the video I posted of drinking the divine water, netizens instantly erupted. Meanwhile, my mother was immersed in the joy of earning money from live streaming, completely unaware that the entire internet was criticizing her at that moment. That evening, during my mother's live stream, netizens flocked to the live room to condemn her actions. For a while, they had firmly believed that my brother's disability was caused by medical negligence and had supported my mother in seeking justice. Now, with the release of this video, everyone's attitude immediately shifted. The live stream's bullet comments were furiously cursing my mother. Oh my god, how can such a person exist? Does the streamer have no brain? Using a pesticide bottle to hold oil. Her child's disability is what she deserves. The hospital told you to have a C-section, but you refused. And now you're blaming them. You even signed a waiver, and you're still accusing the hospital. How disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. Drinking some miracle water. Does she have any brains? Streamer, give us back the money we tipped you. My mom saw that something was wrong and quickly closed the live stream in a fright. Then, she and my dad cursed the netizens for being no good, and cursed me for being no good, all while in their room, listening to their curses. I locked the door. Tomorrow, I'm going back to school to focus on my exams. Let them handle their own affairs. The next morning, as I was preparing to leave for school, my mom stood at the doorway, holding her son, blocking my way. She asked, "Tiffany, did you post that video? Did you tamper with it?" I sneered inwardly. They weren't completely stupid, Mom. At this point, what could I possibly tamper with? All I did was reveal the truth to the public. My mom heard this and suddenly rushed over to hit me, yelling, "Tiffany, I knew it was you, you little bitch. Who did this? We're your parents. Are you doing this because you can't stand to see us make money?" Mom, how can you say that? You make money, but you don't spend it on me. My tuition was left to me by my grandparents. I haven't eaten a single meal at home for years. You haven't raised me all these years, so what does your money have to do with me? Besides, I just told the truth. What did I do wrong? As my mom was about to hit me again, her eldest son in her arms started crying. I looked at his crooked face, smiled, and then left the house. This incident brought about a significant change. Some netizens went to the hospital to understand the situation, and after learning that my mother had indeed given birth to a disabled child because she wouldn't listen to advice, they all stopped sympathizing with her. Other netizens even came to our village to inquire, and those relatives who had been scolded by my parents now stood against them, accusing my parents of being inhumane and saying they were crazy, neglecting their own daughter just to have a son. With this irrefutable evidence, my parents were subjected to widespread condemnation online. The account with over 100,000 followers was also banned, and all the funds were frozen and could not be withdrawn, and I was buried in my writing in the classroom. In the high school entrance exam a little over 10 days later, I was going to show off my brilliant life, and thanks to the netizens' reprimands, my parents quieted down for a few days, and I successfully took the high school entrance exam. After the high school entrance exam, I went home for a visit. They took my household registration book. Ever since I was born, they had transferred my household registration to my grandparents' names, and my father, in order to marry my mother back then, also transferred his household registration from his parents' names to my mother's family. I finished packing my luggage and saw my parents' half-open bedroom door. Seeing them playing with their beloved son, I smiled helplessly. I moved into my grandparents' old house. Although it was simple, I felt it was my true home. The day after I moved into the old house, Aunt Wendy next door called me to say that the court had seized our home. My parents, for their precious son, had spent a huge amount of money buying holy water from a shaman and had taken out many online loans. Now their live streaming account was blocked, and they were being cursed by the entire internet. My father also lost his job, but their precious son remained the same after a month, occasionally having seizures and vomiting. After a hospital checkup, the 1-month-old baby's organs were already showing signs of failure. My parents sought medical help everywhere for their beloved son, accumulating massive debts. When they couldn't repay their online loans, the bank foreclosed on our family home. When Aunt Wendy, our neighbor, told me all this, I showed no reaction. Reborn into this life, all of this is their just retribution. At the same time, my junior high school exam results were announced. I achieved high scores, and to get away from them, I applied to a more distant key high school. Years later, I heard that my father was in a car accident and became disabled, and my mother's beloved son, whom she doted on, also became increasingly disabled, but none of that had anything to do with me. They actually contacted me once, but my mom immediately started yelling at me and asking for money, fixated on the compensation my grandparents received. After I yelled back at her, she kept harassing me, calling my phone. Later, I changed my phone number, cutting off all contact. They never treated me as a daughter, and I won't treat them as parents. I won't concern myself with their future, but my life is just beginning. I need to look forward and strive to live my life well. After hearing the second story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see the excruciating pain tore me from unconsciousness. I opened my eyes to the familiar hospital ceiling, white, with a water stain that looked like a butterfly with outstretched wings. This scene was all too familiar to me. It was the emergency room of a university-affiliated hospital 3 years ago, or more precisely, 3 years ago in my previous life. I was hospitalized here for a gastric hemorrhage. Wait, last life. Memories flooded back like a tide. I remember clearly, in my last life, I lived to be 28, watched Leo marry his fifth Jenny, saw him cry at the wedding, saying I was the one he loved, and then that crazy woman rushed over and threw sulfuric acid on me. I died on the way to the hospital, and now, I'm back to 21, back to the beginning of all tragedies. You're awake. The nurse walked in. Where's your boyfriend? Such severe stomach bleeding, and he's not even here. I glanced at the clock on the wall. September 15th, 2019, 9 p.m. If I remember correctly, Leo is currently at a bar with Lisa, an art student he just met. In his arms, that girl had plastic surgery to look like Jenny, and Leo would keep her like a pet for 3 months, then move on to the next one. He's busy, I heard myself say. The nurse pouted. What kind of boyfriend is that? Better not to have one. Yeah, it's better not to have it. It took me 7 years in my last life to understand this, and in this life, I won't make the same mistake again. My phone vibrated on the nightstand. I picked it up and saw a message from Leo sent 2 hours ago. Busy, will come see you later. I sneered. In my last life, he didn't show up until noon the next day, reeking of alcohol and women's perfume, perfunctorily asking, are you feeling better, before leaving again, and at that time, I foolishly thought he was genuinely busy. Delete chat, block. After doing all that, I suddenly felt a sense of relief. Nancy, the door opened, and a familiar voice sounded. I looked up and saw Lucas. He was still as I remembered him, just younger. He was wearing a basketball uniform, his forehead covered in sweat, and he was carrying an insulated lunchbox. How did you know I was here? I asked, feigning ignorance. It was the same in my previous life. Lucas was the first person to visit me. He said he saw my name while passing by, but later I learned he came specifically for me, because he had been quietly watching over me. I saw your name as I was passing by. He seemed a little flustered. I brought you some porridge from the hospital cafeteria. You should have liquid since you have a stomach bleed. I took the insulated container. The temperature was just right. It was millet porridge, very well cooked, with a layer of rice oil floating on top. Thank you. You're welcome. He sat on the chair by the bed. Where's Leo? We broke up, I said calmly. Lucas was stunned. What? I said. Leo and I broke up. I took a sip of porridge, to be precise. I dumped him. In my previous life, I only broke up with him 3 days later, by which time Leo had already hooked up with Lisa, and I still had to pretend not to know. This time, I didn't want to waste any more time. Why? Lucas asked, his eyes betraying an undeniable joy. Because I don't love you anymore. I put down my spoon and looked at him seriously. Lucas, you like me, don't you? He shut up, knocking over his chair. You, how could you? I could tell. I smiled. Your eyes don't lie. It took me 5 years in my last life to realize Lucas loved me. By then, he had already lost a leg saving me, while I was still making excuses for Leo's philandering. Lucas's face flushed. The 185-meter-tall boy looked like a primary school student who had done something wrong. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I know you're Leo's girlfriend. I didn't want to break you two up. Lucas, I interrupted him. I told you, Leo and I broke up. But, no buts. I held out my hand. Give me your phone. He handed it over blankly. I typed in my number and Saved it with the note, future girlfriend, Nancy. He looked at the phone screen in disbelief. Pursue me, Lucas, I said seriously, pursue me openly and honestly. The next day at noon, Leo finally appeared, just like in my previous life. When he pushed open the hospital room door, he reeked of alcohol, his shirt was wrinkled, and there was a lipstick stain on his collar. Nancy, what do you mean? He demanded aggressively. Why did you block me? I was reading a book. One Lucas had brought that morning, saying it was his favorite novel. I didn't even look up. Literally, we're breaking up. Break up. Leo sneered. Nancy, stop messing around. I'm not messing around. I closed my book. Leo, we're over. Just because I didn't come to see you last night. He walked to the bed and looked down at me. Nancy, can you stop being so childish? It's not because of that. I took out my phone and pulled up a photo. It's because of this. In the photo, he was kissing Lisa in a bar booth. Lisa sent this to me in my last life to show off. This life, I had someone take the picture in advance. Leo's face changed. Are you stalking me? No, someone sent it to me. I put away my phone. Leo, you cheated. That doesn't count for anything. He got anxious. It's normal for men to fool around outside. Oh, normal. I nodded. Then I can normally dump you too. Nancy, he grabbed my wrist, his grip surprisingly strong. You wouldn't dare. The door suddenly burst open, and Lucas rushed in, punching Leo in the face. Leo stumbled back a few steps, hitting the wall. Lucas, what the hell is wrong with you? Let her go. Lucas stood in front of me. Leo, try touching her again. What's it to you? Leo wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. This is between me and my girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, Lucas corrected coldly, and from today on, Nancy's business is my business. Leo froze for a few seconds, then showed an incredulous expression. You too, yes. You're right, I said, sitting up in bed. Lucas and I are together now. We weren't actually together yet, but it felt good to annoy the scumbag, bitch. Leo lunged at me, trying to hit me. Lucas grabbed his fist, twisted his arm, and pinned him against the wall. Leo, you should be grateful this is a hospital, otherwise I'd make sure you ended up in a hospital bed too. Lucas, we've known each other for 15 years. Leo struggled. You're betraying me for a woman. Betrayal, Lucas sneered. Leo, you betrayed Nancy first. What do you take her for? Jenny's stand-in. Leo's body stiffened. You think I don't know? Lucas released him. Every girlfriend you've ever dated looks like Jenny. Nancy was the only exception. Do you know why? Because Nancy's family gave your family a big project. I interjected. Leo, I'm just a tool for you to gain benefits, nothing more. This was the truth I only learned later in my previous life. The Green family's company was on the verge of bankruptcy, and my dad used his connections to secure a big project for them, on the condition that Leo would date me. Leo's face turned pale. You know everything. I know everything, I sneered, including the 500,000 your mom took from my dad. Enough, Leo snapped, enraged. Nancy, without me, you're nothing at a university. Then we'll see about that. Leo slammed the door and left. Lucas looked at me worriedly. Are you okay? Does your wrist hurt? I looked at his nervous expression, and my heart warmed. In my previous life, he was the same, always putting me first. Lucas, let's really be together. What? He was stunned. I'm serious. I took his hand. Give me a chance, and give yourself a chance too. The day I was discharged from the hospital, Lisa came. She wore exquisite makeup, a limited edition Chanel outfit, and carried a new Hermes bag. She had boasted to me in my previous life that Leo had given her all of these. Senior. She smiled sweetly. I heard you and Leo broke up. That's right, I said, packing my things. Congratulations on becoming official. She paused, probably not expecting me to be so direct. You're so generous, Senior. She took a step closer, but Leo said you're just throwing a tantrum, and he'll still coax you back. Is that so? I stopped what I was doing. Lisa, do you know why you're able to get close to Leo? Because Leo likes me. No. I took out my phone and pulled up a photo. Because you look like this person. The photo was of Jenny, pure and captivating, with an ethereal aura. Lisa's expression changed. Who is this? Jenny, Leo's first love. I put my phone away. Don't you think you two look very similar? Or rather, when you had plastic surgery, did you use her photo? You're lying. Lisa shrieked. I pulled a document from my bag. B City Beauty Hospital's surgical records. MS. Lisa, a full facial adjustment done 3 months ago, costing 450,000. Shall I read the chief surgeon's notes? Client requested plastic surgery according to provided photos, similarity requirement 90% or more. I had someone look this up yesterday. In my last life, I was too foolish, completely manipulated by her. In this life, I want everyone to see the truth. Lisa's hands were trembling. You investigated me. You were the one who provoked me first. I picked up my bag. Oh, and a friendly reminder, Leo has already found his next one. Julia from the dance department, also styled to look like Jenny. Your shelf life is probably about another month. Impossible. Don't believe me. I pointed out the window. Look, isn't that Leo's car? In the parking lot downstairs, next to Leo's Maserati. He was helping a long-haired girl into the car. Even from a distance, you could tell the girl bore a 7/10 resemblance to Jenny. Lisa rushed out. Lucas walked in. Is it all true? Of course. I curled my lips. Leo is that kind of person. Always looking for a substitute. Than you before. I was blind before, I admitted. Frankly, but I'm better now. In my last life, I found out these truths too late. Leo not only cheated but also kept 7 or 8 Jennies outside. When it all came out, Lisa threw paint on me, Julia smashed my windows, and those women, fighting for his favor, made me their common enemy. This time, I'm going to let them tear each other apart. That night, a university's forum exploded. Shocking. School heartthrob Leo actually has this fetish. The post meticulously listed all the girls Leo had dated in the past 2 years, each accompanied by photo comparisons. All of them resembled Jenny. 1. Lisa, freshman in the art department, $450,000 for plastic surgery, 90% resemblance. 2. Julia, sophomore in the dance department, $380,000 for plastic surgery, 85% resemblance. 3. Bella, a junior in the foreign language department, natural beauty, 75% similarity, and there's more. The post was anonymous, but I knew who it was. Lisa. She was provoked and wanted to drag everyone down with her. Sure enough, the comment section exploded. Damn, what kind of twisted humor is this? Leo, feel bad for Nancy, being a stand-in for 2 years. Who exactly is Jenny? What's so charming about her? Soon, someone dug up Jenny's identity. The legendary senior from a university, who ranked first every year, is now pursuing her master's at Harvard. Most importantly, she was Leo's high school crush. And it's said that Leo pursued her for 3 years without success. The forum's sentiment immediately shifted. So Nancy was a stand-in too? Poor Leo, so deeply in love. Is this the ultimate level of a simp? I scrolled through the comments, unmoved. In my previous life, these words had deeply hurt me, but now I know that time will prove everything. Lucas sat beside me, not angry. Why should I be angry? I closed my laptop. By the way, do me a favor. What favor? Help me hack into Leo's email. Lucas was a genius in the computer science department. The small task would be effortless for him. What are you going to do? You'll find out soon enough. Late that night, the forum exploded again. Someone posted emails from Leo's inbox, flirtatious emails between him and multiple girls, the most explosive of which was evidence that he was simultaneously two-timing 3 girls. Even more terrifying, the emails also contained his evaluations of these girls. Lisa, good skills, but demands too much. Julia, best figure, but not very smart. Bella, most like Jenny, but too dramatic. The forum completely exploded. Those girls went crazy and started tearing into each other on the forum. Lisa, you homewrecker. Julia, you're the homewrecker. You're both sluts. I turned off my computer and went to sleep, feeling pleased. Dog eat dog, all fur and teeth. A week later, the real owner returned. Jenny ended her exchange early and came back to a university. I saw this legendary woman for the first time in the library. She was indeed beautiful, with a hint of nobility in her purity and an outstanding temperament. No wonder Leo couldn't forget her. No wonder so many girls wanted to get plastic surgery to look like her. Are you Nancy? She asked, walking over to me. Yes, let's talk. In the cafe, Jenny elegantly stirred her coffee. I heard you and Leo broke up. Yes, because of me. Not entirely. I took a sip of coffee, mainly because he's such a jerk. Jenny paused, then smiled. You're very direct. I like that. What did you need me for? Senior, I need your help with something. She put down her spoon. Help me get rid of Leo. I raised an eyebrow. You don't like him? Never have. Jenny frowned. He's so annoying. He's been pestering me since high school. I went to Harvard to get away from him, but I didn't expect him to get even worse and find so many stand-ins. Then why don't you just reject him directly? I've refused countless times, but he doesn't listen, Jenny said helplessly, and our 2 families have business dealings, so my dad won't let me break ties. I see. In her previous life, Jenny eventually married a diplomat and completely lost contact with Leo, but that was 5 years later. I can help you, I said, but I have a condition. Name it. Publicly clarify that you never liked Leo, and that his feelings were unrequited. Jenny thought for a moment. Okay, then, a pleasant collaboration. As we shook hands, I silently thought to myself, this time, I'm going to let Leo know what it feels like to reap what you sow. Are you sure you want to do this? Lucas looked at me worriedly. I'm Sure, I checked the recording device on my phone. Someone like Leo, if you don't teach him a lesson, he'll never give up. As planned, I arranged to meet Leo on the hill behind the school. It was secluded, suitable for negotiations. Leo arrived quickly. It was clear he hadn't been doing well lately. There were dark circles under his eyes. Nancy, have you finally come to your senses? He showed a joyful expression. Leo, let's talk terms. I got straight to the point. What terms? You publicly apologize, admit to cheating, and then we break up peacefully. Dream on. Leo's face darkened. Nancy, who do you think you are? I'm the one who knows all your secrets. I pulled out a USB drive. This contains even more about you, including evidence of you bribing people for the student council election. This was true. In my previous life, Leo had bribed many people to become student council president, although he ultimately got the position through his family's connections. These dark secrets were enough to ruin his reputation. Leo's expression changed. Are you threatening me? No, I'm giving you a chance. I took a step back. Leo, it's better for everyone if you act with some dignity. Nancy, he suddenly leaned in. Have you forgotten that your dad's company still relies on my family's project? That project is already finished, and the money has been settled. I had already checked. Leo, you have no leverage left. He became enraged and shoved me. I lost my footing and fell backward. The anticipated pain didn't come. Lucas caught me in time. Are you okay? He checked anxiously. I'm fine. I shook my phone. It's all recorded. Only then did Leo realize he'd been tricked. You set me up. You started it. Lucas said coldly. Leo, you're finished. Just then, Jenny appeared with a group of people, all campus media reporters. Senior Leo pushed someone. Isn't this an act of violence? Should we report it to the school? Leo completely panicked. Jenny, what are you doing here? Jenny looked at him coldly. Leo, I came to tell you something. What is it? Hope flickered in Leo's eyes. I have never liked you. Not before, not now, and certainly not in the future, Jenny said, word for word. Your pursuit of me is nothing but harassment, and those stand-ins disgust me. Please, don't bother me again. After speaking, she looked at the reporters. Did you all record that? Go ahead and publish it. Leo was struck by lightning, his entire body frozen. No, impossible, he murmured. Jenny, I was so good to you. Good, Jenny sneered. Sleeping with a bunch of women who look like me. You call that good to me? Leo, you make me sick. The video quickly spread across the internet. Hashtag Leo pushes someone. Hashtag Jenny publicly rejects Leo. Hashtag a university heartthrob's image crumbles. Hashtag Leo became the laughingstock of the entire school, but the Green family wouldn't just give up like that. The next day, Leo's mother, Rose, came knocking. The preserved noblewoman had a cold look in her eyes. 5 million. She got straight to the point. Leave a university and never appear before Leo again. Aunt Rose, I smiled. The video of your son pushing someone has been seen by everyone online. So what? Rose sneered. Little girl, do you think you're something special just because Lucas is backing you? No, I rely on myself. I took out my phone. Aunt Rose, would you like to see this? On the screen was a recording of Rose's conversation with my dad, where she took 500,000 from him to get Leo and me together. Rose's face changed. You recorded it. Better safe than sorry. I put away my phone. Aunt Rose, 5 million is too little. I want 10 million. You're dreaming. Then I'll send out the recording, I said, pretending to send it. Let everyone know how the Green family does business. You wouldn't dare. You'll see if I dare. Rose trembled with anger, but finally compromised. 10 million is fine, but you have to sign an agreement that you'll never speak of this matter. Deal. After signing the agreement and getting the check, I was in a good mood. In my previous life, the Green family used this 500,000 to humiliate me for 7 years. In this life, I'm going to make them pay. What are you going to do with the money? Lucas asked. Invest. I winked. Invest in our future. Lucas blushed. What our future, Lucas? I said seriously, I've been reborn. I have a premonition that the Green family's company won't last 3 years. By then, this 10 million will turn into 100 million. How do you know? Of course, I knew, because in my previous life, the Green family went bankrupt 3 years later. Leo's father's investments failed. He accumulated a mountain of debt, and eventually jumped off a building. A woman's intuition. I smiled mysteriously. Trouble always follows. My parents found out Leo and I broke up and came over in a rage. Nancy, are you crazy? My mom immediately started scolding me. Don't you know how rich the Green family is? I know, I said calmly, but that's Green family money, not mine. Won't it be yours once you marry into the family? My dad glared at me. Are you out of your mind? Dad, Mom, I looked at them. You sold me to the Green family for 500,000. Is that enough? Their faces changed dramatically. You, how did you know? Leo told me himself. I sneered. So in your eyes, I'm only worth 500,000. That's different. My mom got anxious. We're doing this for your own good. The Green family is so well off. For my own good. I stood up. For my own good. You'd sell me off. For my own good. You'd make me a stand-in for someone who doesn't love me. What stand-in or not stand-in? My dad said impatiently. Marrying into a wealthy family is what truly matters. Then you'd better find someone else. I pulled out a document. This is a statement of severance of parent-child relationship. Sign it. How dare you? My mom shrieked. What do I have to be afraid of? I looked at them coldly. Anyway, in your hearts, a son is a treasure, and a daughter is just goods that can be sold for money. Yes, I also have a younger brother, a brother they spoiled rotten. In my previous life, after I married Leo, they constantly asked me for money to spend on my brother. Finally, my brother was arrested for drug use, and they even wanted me to beg Leo to get him out. Nancy, you can't be so heartless. My mother started crying. We raised you all these years. Raised me. I pulled out a notebook. These are my work records since I was 16, my tuition, my living expenses. I earned them all myself. You raised me. You raised your son. They were both speechless. Sign it. I handed them the pen. From now on, we go our separate ways. Finally, they signed the documents witnessed by the lawyer Lucas found. As they left, my dad said fiercely, Nancy, you'll regret this. I won't regret it. What I regretted in my previous life was not seeing their true colors. Sooner after cutting ties, I moved out of the dorm and rented an apartment with the money Rose gave me. Lucas helped me move, and as he moved, he said, you could actually live at my place. Lucas, we just got together. I reminded him, I know. I didn't mean it like that. He quickly explained, I meant, I have another empty apartment near the school. I know what you mean. I smiled, but I want my own space. In my last life, I relied too much on others. In this life, I want to learn to be independent first. Then, can I come to see you often? Of course. After we finished moving, he cooked a table full of dishes for me. His cooking was surprisingly good. You can cook? I asked, surprised. Since I was little, he said, scratching his head sheepishly. My parents were busy with work, so I always cooked for myself. Lucas's parents were both corporate executives, so they were indeed very busy. But in my previous life, I knew they were very good to their son, just not good at expressing it. Unlike my parents, who only knew how to take. I'll cook for you every day from now on, he said. Will it be too much trouble? No trouble at all. He looked at me earnestly. Nancy, it's my honor to do things for you. My heart suddenly softened. In my previous life, Lucas said the same thing. He was already in a wheelchair then, but he still insisted on cooking for me every day. Lucas, promise me one thing. What is it? No matter what happens, protect yourself. I held his hand. Don't get hurt for me. He paused. Why are you suddenly saying this? Because in my last life, you lost a leg saving me. I said in my heart, it's just a premonition. I vaguely brushed it off. Anyway, promise me. Okay, he squeezed my hand. I promise you. Lisa suddenly returned after disappearing for a week. She came straight to me, looking disheveled, with a slap mark on her face. Nancy, let's work together. Work together on what? To ruin Leo. Her eyes were full of hatred. He lied to me. He said I was special, but it turns out I was just a stand-in. You're just realizing that now. She gritted her teeth. He dumped me. He said I was too pretentious, that I didn't have Jenny's temperament. I knew this would happen. In my last life, Lisa also turned dark after being dumped. She did many crazy things and eventually ended up in a mental hospital. How do you want to cooperate? I have leverage over him. She pulled out a USB drive. This contains all his dirt, including his father's. I took the USB drive. What's the condition? Help me get plastic surgery. She touched her face. I want a new face, a fresh start. Plastic surgery is very expensive. I know you took money from Rose. Lisa smiled eerily. 10 million, wasn't it? I raised an eyebrow. How do you know? I installed a listening device in Rose's office, she said triumphantly. I know many of the Green family's secrets. This was an unexpected bonus deal. I extended my hand, but you'll have to handle the plastic surgery yourself. I'm only paying. All right. The contents of the USB drive were indeed explosive. Not only did it contain evidence of Leo's bribery and cheating, but also evidence of his father's fraudulent accounting and tax evasion. How did you get all of this? Lucas asked, surprised. Women's tactics, Lisa sneered. Men will say anything when they're in bed. I put the USB drive away. These things will be useful at a critical moment. On the eve of the final exams, Leo started acting up again. He bribed a few people to spread rumors on the forum that I cheated on the exam, and that I only passed because of Lucas. Nancy is just a good-for-nothing, nothing without a man. I heard Lucas helped her with all her homework. Does someone like that even deserve to study at a university? Seeing these comments, Lucas was furious and wanted to go confront Leo. Don't worry, I stopped him, let them talk, we'll know once the results are out. Of course, I was confident. In my previous life, because of Leo, I was always helping him with his homework, and my own grades were a mess, but this life was different. I studied diligently and was confident I could get an A in every subject. During exam week, I practically lived in the library. Lucas brought me food every day and quietly kept me company. You don't have to stay with me all the time, I said. I want to stay with you. He flipped through his book. Besides, you look beautiful when you're serious. I couldn't help but laugh. Lucas, with your level of sweet talk, how did you ever win me over? Sincerity, he said earnestly. Every word I've said to you is from the heart. My heart softened again. After the exam, I specifically requested that the grades be made public. When the grade sheet was posted, the entire forum went silent. Nancy, first in her major, a plus in every subject. As for Leo, he failed 3 out of 5 subjects, foot and mouth. Who said Nancy was a good for nothing? Leo's the real academic slacker, isn't he? I took screenshots and saved them. Then it mentioned the people who had spread rumors earlier. Spreading rumors carries legal responsibility. A lawyer's letter has been sent. Please check your inbox. Lucas gave a thumbs up from the side. Amazing. My girlfriend. That's right. I proudly lifted my chin. Your girlfriend is a top student. Leo, who had failed his exams, completely lost it. He started drinking heavily, gambling, and even doing drugs. Someone filmed him acting crazy in a bar, hugging a strange woman and calling out Jenny's name. How pathetic. Tormented by love. Pathetic. He deserves it. I heard the Green family is going bankrupt. The last one is true. I found out through Lucas that Leo's father's company's capital chain was broken, and several major projects fell through, and the tax bureau has already started investigating them. Those pieces of evidence, I reported anonymously. Rose came again, this time not to threaten, but to plead. Nancy, please, let our family go, she said, tears streaming down her face. Leo is already like this. Do you still want to wipe us out, Aunt Rose? I said calmly. It's not that I won't let you go. It's what you brought upon yourselves. Tax evasion, bribing officials. These are all things you did yourselves, aren't they? But you're the one who reported it. The evidence is conclusive. It doesn't matter who reported it. I stood up. Aunt Rose, instead of begging me, you should hire a good lawyer. When she left, Leo appeared. He was emaciated, his eyes unfocused, clearly having taken drugs. Nancy, he knelt before me. Please, please save my family. Leo, do you remember what you said? I looked down at him. You said, without you, I am nothing. Now look, who is nothing? I was wrong. I was really wrong. He hugged my leg. Nancy, for the sake of our 2 years together, affection. I shook him off. Leo, there was never any affection between us, only a transaction. Lucas dragged him out. From then on, Leo completely vanished from my world. After the Green family went bankrupt, Jenny found me. Thank you, she said. Thank me for what? Thank you for helping me get rid of the trouble that was Leo. She smiled. Actually, I've always wanted to get rid of him, but due to the relationship between our 2 families, it was never easy to just break ties directly. Now that the Green family is gone, you're free. Yes, she looked out the window. I'm going to the UK next month to pursue my doctorate. Congratulations, Nancy, she suddenly said. Can you see the future? My heart skipped a beat. Why do you say that? A hunch. She looked at me meaningfully. Every step you take is so precise, as if you know what's going to happen. I was silent, but it's okay. Everyone has secrets. She stood up. I wish you and Lucas happiness. You don't like him? I asked. Many people said Lucas was much better than Leo. He's good, but not for me. Jenny shook her head. I want someone who can stand beside me, not someone who worships me like a goddess. That makes sense. The diplomat Jenny married in her previous life was indeed a very opinionated person. Then I wish you can also find the right person. I will. She smiled confidently. The man Jenny, set my sights on won't get away. In the spring of her senior year, Lucas proposed. The location was the restaurant where we had our first official date. He had booked the entire venue and decorated it like a fairy tale. Nancy, he knelt on one knee, holding a simple diamond ring. Marry me. I watched his hands tremble with nervousness and couldn't help but smile. Lucas, did you forget your lines? No. He took a deep breath. Nancy, from the first moment I saw you 3 years ago, I knew you were the one I wanted to protect for life. Every day I've spent with you over these 3 years has been my most precious memory. I can't promise to give you the world, but I swear I will use everything I have to love and protect you. So, will you marry me? My eyes welled up. In my previous life, he had said similar things, and even then, confined to a wheelchair, he insisted on kneeling. I do. He excitedly stood up, picked me up, and spun me around. Thank you for agreeing to marry me. Silly, I smiled, wiping away my tears. I should be the one saying thank you for making me believe in love again. Thank you for giving me the courage to choose again. The day before the wedding, Leo appeared. He had just come out of rehab, so thin he was just skin and bones. Nancy, congratulations. His voice was hoarse. What are you doing here? Lucas blocked me. I just wanted to say goodbye. Leo gave a bitter smile. After tomorrow, you'll be someone else's wife. Leo, I was never yours, I said. I know. He lowered his head. Nancy, I want to ask you a question. Speak. If I hadn't treated you as a substitute, would we have had a chance? I thought. For a moment, no, he was stunned. Leo, even without Jenny, you would never truly love me. I said seriously, you only ever love yourself. He was silent for a long time, then turned and left. After a few steps, he looked back. Nancy, Lucas, I wish you happiness. Truly, that was the last time I saw Leo. Later, I heard he went south, opened a small shop, married an ordinary woman, and lived a simple life. The wedding proceeded as scheduled. Lucas's parents were very open-minded and treated me wonderfully. Although I had cut ties with my birth family, they said, we're your family now. Jenny also came, flying all the way from England. I really envy you, she said. You found the right person. You'll find it too. I'll take that as a good omen. She raised her glass. Happy wedding. Lisa was also there, completely transformed after plastic surgery, now studying abroad. Thank you, senior, she said sincerely. If it weren't for you, I might still be stuck in that quagmire. You chose to change yourself. As the wedding progressed to the ring exchange, Lucas's hands trembled with nervousness. Don't be nervous, I whispered. I'm just too excited. He blushed. I've waited for this day for too long. Yes, if you count his previous life, he really had waited too long. Lucas, I love you. He paused, then smiled, and it was the brightest smile I had ever seen. I love you too, Nancy, always. For our honeymoon, we went to the Maldives. Blue skies, white clouds, the ocean, everything was so beautiful it felt unreal. Nancy, are you happy? Lucas asked. Happy. I leaned into his embrace. I'm very happy to be with you. I always feel like I'm dreaming. He kissed the top of my head. I'm afraid that when I wake up, you'll be gone. No, I won't. I held his hand. I'm not going anywhere. In my last life, I missed him. In this life, I will never let go again. In the evening, we walked along the beach. Nancy, do you have any wishes? He asked. Wishes? I thought for a moment. I hope we can continue to be this happy. We will, he said firmly. I promise. The moonlight spilled onto the sea, shimmering. I suddenly remembered the scene just before I died in my previous life. Back then, I was covered in scars from sulfuric acid, and Lucas held me, crying heartbrokenly. If there's a next life, he said, I want to be the first to meet you, the first to love you, the first to marry you. Now, his wish has come true, even though I was the one who came back to life. He truly won this time. After we returned from our honeymoon, I discovered I was pregnant. Lucas was so excited he didn't know what to do. Really, I'm going to be a dad. Really. I smiled and showed him the pregnancy test results. He carefully hugged me. This is great, Nancy, this is great. Then he suddenly became nervous. Are you feeling unwell? Do you want to go to the hospital? We'll go now. Don't be so nervous, I reassured him. Pregnancy is a normal thing. How can I not be nervous? He paced anxiously. This is our child. Watching him fumble, I couldn't help but smile. In my previous life, because of my poor health, we never had children. I didn't expect to have one so soon in this life. Lucas, what do you think? Is it a boy or a girl? Either is fine, he said immediately. I'll love a boy or a girl. If it's a girl, let's call her Mia, I said, like my name. Okay, he nodded repeatedly. If it's a boy, let's call him Charles. Why? Because you are my son, he said. Seriously, my heart melted. 3 months into my pregnancy, I heard the final news about the Green family. Leo's father was sentenced to 10 years for economic crimes, and Rose, unable to bear the blow, suffered a mental breakdown and was admitted to a sanatorium. As for Leo, it was said that he opened a small noodle shop in a small city in the south, married a divorced woman with a child, and lived the most ordinary life. They're probably relieved this way, Lucas said. Maybe, in her previous life, Leo went mad after the Green family went bankrupt and eventually committed suicide by jumping off a building. In this life, at least he's still alive and can start over. Do you regret it? Lucas asked. After all, you two had 2 years. No regrets, I interrupted him. Lucas, let bygones be bygones. He touched my belly. Now and the future are what matter most. Yes, now and the future are what matter most. The day the baby was born, it was raining lightly. It's a girl, Mia. Lucas held the baby, his eyes red. Nancy, thank you. What for? Thank you for giving me a complete family. I reached out and wiped away the tears from the corners of his eyes. Silly, Mia is very much like Lucas, especially when she smiles. If any boy bullies our Mia in the future, Lucas said with a serious expression, I will definitely not let him off the hook. Mia was just born, I said, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. It's better to be prepared, he said, full of conviction. Time passed quickly, and 5 years flew by. Mia was 5 years old, a mischievous little girl. Mommy, she asked me, why does Daddy kiss you every day? Because Daddy loves Mommy. Then I love Mommy too. I want kisses too. She stood on her tiptoes and kissed my cheek. Lucas got jealous. Mia wants to kiss Daddy too. Daddy is the most childish. Mia rolled her eyes, her expression exactly like Lucas's. I smiled, watching the father and daughter bicker, my heart full of warmth. This is the life I want. Ordinary, but happy. After Mia started kindergarten, I went back to work at an industry gathering. I met Jenny. She was married, and her husband was indeed a diplomat. They looked very well matched. Long time no see, she greeted me with a smile. Yes, long time no see. I heard you have a daughter. Yes, she's 5. I took out my phone to show her pictures. So cute, she said enviously. I'm also preparing for pregnancy. You'll have one. After chatting for a while, she suddenly said, oh, by the way, I saw Leo at the airport a few days ago. I was stunned for a moment. He's changed a lot, Jenny said. He's gained weight and gone bald. You can't tell he was the campus heartthrob back then. Really, he saw me and just turned and left, she said, shaking her head. Maybe he didn't want to see me. I didn't say anything. Leo was in the past. Mentioning him now brought no ripple of emotion to my heart. Lucas's company went public on the day of the listing. His first call was to me. Nancy, we made it. Congratulations, hubby. This is all because of you, he said. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't be where I am today. Don't say that. It's true, he said seriously. Nancy, you are my goddess of luck. That evening, at the celebration banquet, many people came to offer their congratulations. Someone asked, what's the secret to your success? Lucas glanced at me and said, marrying a good wife. The whole room burst into laughter, but I knew he was serious. My spoiled younger brother, whom my parents doted on, suddenly showed up at my door. Sis, it's Kevin. He stood at the doorway, looking quite down and out. I frowned. What are you doing here? Sister, Mom and Dad were in a car accident. My heart tightened when, last month, he lowered his head. Now there's nothing left at home. I'm really at my wit's end. I fell silent, although I had cut ties with them. Hearing the news still made me feel a little sad. How are they doing now? Dad's gone. Mom's still in the hospital, but the medical bills, I sighed. I'll pay for the medical bills, but that's all, sis. He was so excited he almost knelt down. Don't. I took a step back. Kevin, I'm helping the person who gave birth to me, not you. You're an adult now. You need to learn to live your own life. In the end, I paid the medical bills, but I didn't get involved in anything else. Lucas supported my decision. You did the right thing. Helping is a kindness, not helping is your right. My mom woke up, but her lower body was paralyzed. I went to the hospital to see her. She had aged a lot, and her hair was completely white. Nancy, she cried, Mommy is sorry. I remained silent. Mom shouldn't have taken money from the Green family back then, shouldn't have treated you like a commodity, she sobbed, gasping for breath. Mom ruined you. What's past is past, I said. Mom, focus on getting better. Can you forgive Mom? I thought for a moment. I don't hate you anymore. But we can't go back to how things were. She burst into tears, walking out of the hospital. I felt a sense of relief. Some hurts cannot be erased with a simple apology, but letting go of the hatred is better for everyone. Mom, what is happiness? Mia asked me. Happiness is, I thought for a moment, being with the people you love. Then I'm the happiest, she said cheerfully, because I have a mommy and a daddy. Lucas picked her up. Mommy and daddy are the happiest too, because we have Mia. Yes, this is happiness, simple, yet precious. Nancy, Lucas suddenly said, I love you, I know. I want to tell you every day. Okay, outside the window, the sun was just right, and the years were peaceful. If rebirth was a gift from heaven, then meeting Lucas was the greatest fortune of my life. 10 years later, Mia was 15, a graceful young woman. Mom, she said, our school has an assignment to write a family history. Oh, Mom, can you tell me how you and Dad got together? Lucas and I exchanged glances and both smiled. It's a long story, I said. I have all the time in the world, Mia said seriously, pulling out her notebook. It all started when your mother was 21. Lucas began to recount. Of course, he omitted the unpleasant parts, only mentioning the good ones. Wow, Dad is so romantic. Mia's eyes sparkled. Indeed, Lucas beamed proudly. Mom, Mia suddenly asked, do you have any regrets? Regret what? Regretting meeting Dad too late. I paused for a moment, then shook my head. Not late. Just right, yes, just right. If I hadn't been reborn, if I hadn't gone through all that, I wouldn't have learned to cherish things, wouldn't have grown into the person I am today. Everything is for the best, Mia. I stroked her head. Remember, there are no ifs in life, only outcomes and consequences. What do you mean? It means, once you've made a choice, don't regret it. You have to be responsible for your own choices. Oh. She seemed to understand, yet not quite, and Lucas added, when you encounter a scumbag, get away from them early. Dad, how do you know what a scumbag looks like? Because, he glanced at me, your mom taught me. We all laughed. Yes, I used the lessons from my previous life to gain happiness in this one. Worth it. Everything is worth it. After hearing the stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.